remember. So weighted mean, first we're going to do weighted mean involving repetition. So there's technically multiple items considered. Weighted mean calculation can be used in another situation when there's repetition of entries. Okay, there's repetition of entries in the data set. The end result is the same as the arithmetic mean, but the calculation is much easier. Okay, so imagine I ask all of you, how many hours of sleep do you get? And I get all different answers. I arrange it, and then I realize I get a bunch of 3s, a bunch of 4s, 7s, 9s, and so forth, right? It's very tedious to just add all of these up individually. So method 1 is going to be as follows. I'm going to go 3 plus 3 plus 3. There's 6 4s. Just do this once, okay? You're not going to have to do this. This is on page 44. Then it's 9. There are 7 9s. All over. How many values do we have in total? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. We're going to divide that by 18. So we get x bar. If you add all of that up, you get 110 divided by 18, which is 6.11. This is shoes sold. I know that, right? It does say, but I talked about sleeping hours, sleeping, but that's fine. It doesn't really matter. The idea here is to add everything up, divide it by the number of values, boom, you got your answer. Okay, but this is what I want you to think of. I haven't seen a weighted mean that did not involve a table. So I will do this. Hold on. Items sold. Number of items sold. And we'll go here, number of days. You're going to make a table like this. So make a T-chart like that. And then I'll tell you that how many times did we sell 3 items? How many times did that happen? Let's go over to here. It happened 3 times, right? So 3 days we sold 3 pairs of shoes. Then 4. How many days did we sell 4 shoes, like 4 pairs? You count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? For 6 days, 6 days involved us selling 4 pairs of shoes. The next is size 7, or not size 7, but 7 pairs. How many days did we sell 7 pairs? We sold 7 pairs on 2 occasions, 2 days. And then the last one, 9 pairs. We sold 9 pairs on 7 occasions. Okay, so make a chart like this. Now we're going to box this in. And I want you to also divide this up. So the number of days here is basically telling me how many I'm counting, right? How many days? 7 days I sold 9 pairs. Here's the weighted mean, method 2. Got it? You got to go 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, so 3 times 3, I'm going to use a different color here. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 6, 4 times 6 is 24. 7 times 2 is 14. 9 times 7 is 63. What's going on here? Okay. That's going to be your first step. We multiply, and now we figure out our mean. And this is how it goes. 9 plus 24 plus 63, sorry, plus 14 plus 63. So we're going to add up whatever we multiplied here and divide it by 18 still. It still took place over 18 days. Okay? That gives us 110 divided by 18, which still will give us 6.11 shoes sold on average. And I also want you to use your, if you have a different color, add this up and just tell yourself that this adds up to 18 down here. Okay, that's where the 18 came from this column, and we put it over there. So this is the method that we're going to use to make it quicker, as opposed to lining up all of our numbers like this using the repetition, right? We're going to use tables. So here we go. Somewhere on this page down here, I want you to use use MAD. Okay, when it's weighted mean, you're going to think of MAD. So the first step is multiply. The second step will be to add. And the third step will be to divide. That's where I get that MAD from. Okay? I know it's kind of cheesy, but it works. So I'm using orange, green, and pink here for the colors. So multiply, I will use orange. So let's say you're getting a table like this. And it says the table to the left shows the average number of hours studied per week. Calculate the average number of hours studied per student. It wants the mean study time. So we're going to multiply first. You multiply across like this. This part you can't get wrong, right? You're just like, oh, there's 2 different categories. I need to multiply. So this is 360. This is 1120. This is 450. And this is 180. Okay. Then we're going to add. So that's the green color for me. We're literally going to add up our answers here. Can you see those pluses? I hope so. But I will also show that here. I will show that I'm going 360 plus 1120 plus 450 plus 180. So you're adding next, okay? Multiply, add, and the last one is the toughest one. The last one is the toughest one to decide. What are you going to divide by? Okay, so here's where you have to follow this. This is the strategy I use. When you multiplied this times this, like you were multiplying students, let's do that right under, no, let's do it here. Students, you're multiplying students by what? The number of hours, right? Every time you were doing that. So can you please write down that that's what you're doing here? Students times hours every time. Which one of these do we want to keep? We're going to get rid of one of these. We don't want both. We just want either students or hours. What is the question asking me to calculate? Calculate the average number of hours. I'm going to highlight that with this color. They want the number of hours. That is what we want. Okay? We want hours to remain. So you're going to divide by the number of students in this case. Because if you have things multiplying and you divide by students, right, these two will cancel out. Okay? So we want them to cancel out so that we're left with hours. I'll say this one more time. How did I come up with students times hours? I just look at the labels of each column. Okay? Then I need to decide which ones do I want to keep here. I want to keep hours, so I need to cancel out students. That's why I have to go find the number of students here that were part of this study. The number of students is adding up this column right here. So I'm going to write down students. Write down students. We're at the bottom here. Let's add this up. So you go 120 plus 280 plus 90 plus 30. That's 520 students that participated in this study. That's why I said division is the hardest one. You're going to have to add up either this column or that column and then divide. It's up. You're going to have to read the question. I determined that it is 520 students. It's the number of students that I need to divide by. I come over here and divide it by 520. So I'm going to go arrow, arrow over here. X bar. So let's add all of this up. That gives you 2,110 divided by 520. You get 44.06 hours on average. Like a student, on average, studies 4.06 hours. If you combine all of the data that you got. This is your final answer. So before you say, Mr. Erickson, you lost me here. You lost me here. I didn't know what to divide by. Let me give you a little trick here. Okay? Let's say you decided, you know what, I'm going to add up all the hours and I'm going to divide my answer here by the number of hours. What do you get when you add up all the hours? This is 7 and 5 is 12 plus 6 is 18. What happens when you go 2,110 and you divide it by 18? You get 117. Does it make sense that students studied 117 hours on average? Does that make sense? No. Like, look at what the answers were. It varied from 3 hours all the way to 6 hours. So whatever answer you get has to be within the answers given. It cannot be bigger than the largest or smaller than the smallest. Okay, that's another way to figure out what do I divide by? You need to determine that, okay? All right. Do you want to give this a try before you go today? Go to the next page. I'm going to ask you to try. Let me see. I made some changes here, so I'm going to ask you to try first page 46. Just try page 46, those two tables there. Remember MAD. Multiply across, add up your results, and then do the last part, which is the hardest, is dividing. Okay? I will post the answer key. And so I'm just going to say page 46 here. And you know what? I'm going to give you the answers just in case. Just in case you want to know. So for this one, it's supposed to be 2.12 is the answer for question 8 on 46. And the one below it, is that the number of items? Give me 1 second on that one. I'm going to have to find it.